Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Hollywood After Dark. It is the very first episode of 2023. It's January 2nd. New year, new show. What a day, folks. What an absolute crazy day in the worlds of entertainment and sports. My God, a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss here tonight. Hollywood After Dark, folks. Let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. It is, of course, the second of the year, and already 2023 is off to one hell of a start. I am utterly shocked at the amount of obituary-themed tweets I have seen in the last couple days. Not just the one person we are going to talk about here, and the significance of why we're going to talk about that person tonight, but like just in general, I have seen names pop up. Barbara Walters comes to mind. There's been a lot of other people that have been like high-level executives or showrunners or just like old school Hollywood power players have come to mind. This has been weird. I feel like at this point now, I'm just like looking at the world and going, you motherfuckers better protect Harrison Ford at every available opportunity. You better spare no expense to make sure that my Mr. Indiana Jones, Henry Jones Jr., is protected at all costs, at least until after, no, entirely. It's such a weird thing. All right, we're just 2 days in, and we already had ourselves the Jeremy Renner situation, which we'll talk about. There's obviously the situation that's going on at the Buffalo Bills game. I am not a fan of football. I was watching Oblivion tonight for an episode of Patio Commentary. I was just trying to get that thing watched when that whole thing was going down, and I saw the video, and I saw a whole bunch of anti-vaxxers come out. And again, we'll talk about the other person they've been saying that about as well. It's crazy, folks. It's absolutely crazy how nuts things are going. So why don't we just kind of kick things off with a bit of I don't know. I'm going to do a little self-promotion before we dive in, obviously. So I don't know if you guys noticed on the channel today, I dropped a new video. I dropped a video about the cultural impact of James Cameron's Avatar. This is a new thumbnail that I just made. I realized that the other one was shit. I didn't really care for it. What I really find to be funny, though, is in the 10-minute video that I put out there, which I was a little nervous to do. I'll be honest with you guys. My cadence is not as quick. It's not as fast. It's not as energetic in that video. That's not to say that there's any particular reason. I'm just usually not used to like reading things off of a script. I'm more of an off-the-cuff kind of guy, and I kind of played that to what I had written and collected, so it was a little bit, I was a little bit more demure, if you will, but the video is there. I think I make a pretty decent argument about the cultural significance. It doesn't have, see, people want it immediately, which is kind of funny. That's another thing, too. It's like, why didn't Avatar immediately cater to what I believe is the right application for the term cultural significance? There's a lot more to it than that on a lot of levels. But look, you don't become king of the hill twice, and have another movie that's currently nipping at its heels to an extent, without there being some cultural relevance. And we're going to talk more about that tonight as we go on. But if you want to check that video out, it is on the channel right now. I think it's a fine video. If you have any more ideas for videos you would like me to dive into to do more long form expository stuff that's not like the making of, because that's all Patio Commentary, be sure to check that out. Rational here asking if I am going to be playing Dying Light 2 after the stream. Tonight, probably not, only because I'm just balls deep in The Witcher. I don't like to divvy up. I don't like to dive into a new narrative-driven game when I'm working on another narrative-driven game, only because I get the storylines crossed in my head, or I feel if I get really invested into one, then from there I will absolutely find myself, spending more time with one than the other. I'm already like 30 hours into The Witcher 3. I just completed the Bloody Baron questline to its completion last night. Got what I feel is the best of the worst endings you can get. I know there's two. Neither one are great. I got the one that kind of directly impacted me. I was a little bit bummed out, but I will be getting to Dying Light 2 as soon as I can, and that will be the next game I play 100%. But Rational did gift me that, so thank you very much, Rational. I do really want to play it. I'm a big Dying Light fan. I'm a big Techland fan, so I really want to dive in. Thank you all for that one there. It's crazy on this stuff. Anyway. So Spherical Manor says, I was looking for the video on YouTube, and the second suggested video was one from Ryan Kinnell on the Geeks and Gamers channel or some such. Yeah, man, the Avatar has been hijacked. Almost everything that's pop culture related has been kind of algorithmically hijacked, which I find to be really interesting. Just a little bit ago, actually, like, who was Saggy Melons and I were kind of trading comments back and forth about like what our most watched, who watches us, what they watch in the other term. This is what was on mine for the very first page. John Campia, Christian Harloff, Mr. H Reviews, Ping Pong Flicks, and Comic Book Cast. Now, Campia has me blocked. Christian Harloff has me blocked. I'm not a Mr. H Reviews fan at all because, again, this guy pushes the culture war above actual content. You know, I think he's got some interesting takes every once in a while, but I really don't like when people do that. Ping Pong Flicks, congrats on him hitting nearly 67,000 subs. Although with the death of the Snyderverse, I would not be surprised. And this is going to sound terrible to say, but with the death of the Snyderverse now being 100% confirmed and that it ain't coming back, I could see his channel having some problems simply because he has hedged his bets around that for so long. That it might have some time. But, you know, hey, otherwise good for him. Comic Book Cast 2. Armin is Armin, one of the laziest but most successful YouTubers out there, who is now complaining. By the way, do you guys know this? Comic Book Cast 2 is not talking about DC movies anymore because they keep getting smashed by Warner Brothers over content violation. Then stop using the footage. There's other footage you can use that would convey the same kind of stuff. You know, like in my Avatar video, I do have about a 48 second clip that I used that is currently under review. I got a content claim. I'm currently disputing that claim, you know, whatever. Now, here's the thing though, if this Avatar video pulls out like a shitload of views and, you know, what could have been a shitload of money, I'll fight it a lot more. But the idea there is, you know, whatever, man. It is what it is there. Henry here asking an interesting question. Cultural impact is a weird concept. Like, how do you even measure this? Avatar had a huge impact on the VFX landscape. Does this even count? Or is cultural impact, remember every detail about it? See, that, of course, becomes a question that I think is answered by the individual viewer. All right. Now, that's a very good and astute question to ask. How do we determine what is cultural impact? You know, there are people out there that argue that Marvel has cultural impact. But then what's your basis of comparison? What's your barrier for entry? Is it the fact that there are over 20 Marvel movies? Is it the fact that they do sit on some of the top grossing lists that are out there? You know, I mean, like, what exactly is it? Is it the impact of the world, the impact of the development? You know, is it how Kevin Feige, a single producer, has led this franchise to its success? You know, whereas Avatar focuses on a simplistic story that doesn't require a lot of homework to dive into, but the spectacle is there in a way that absolutely has lived on and has absolutely excited audiences to the tune of nearly $3 billion. So many questions. So many questions. So, of course, it's one thing worth asking, but that's up to you, Henry. You can look at the data as it's presented. You can look at the arguments and come to your own conclusion. And I think that, of course, is going to be the interesting one as time goes on. So Jared here asking, I still don't understand why America sucks at making horror films, but Japan and Korea knows how to make great horror films. There's I would argue, and I'm sure people will push back on me on this one, right? So I would argue that one of the reasons why Americans have issues with horror films, even though I think we actually make some really good horror movies, but there's a difference between thriller and terror. And I really feel that when it comes to Japanese and Korean horror movies, they really play up the intensity. They play up the thriller side of it. They play up the build-up, the slow build-up to the conclusion, whereas America loves the gore. America loves the quick kills. They love the quick kills that are very, frequent. They want there to be a lot of jump scares. They want that to be in your face. It's just different sensibilities in regards to horror. Now, Music Man here says Terrifier 2 is one of the best horror. Here's the thing with that. I think Terrifier 1 was scarier than Terrifier 2. Terrifier 1 legitimately left me feeling unnerved. Terrifier 2 I really enjoyed, but the length of that movie really hurt it in the end. And I'm sorry, the bedroom sequence, it jumped the shark for me. It went from like the, oh my God, this is crazy, to oh my God, wow. Now we're just in Eli Roth Hostel 2 territory, and I'm just like, all right, whatever with it. But the next scene after that, after the mom comes in, when we see Art giving out candy, I loved that part. I thought that part was brilliant. I also really enjoyed that Terrifier 2 took a late 80s, early 90s approach to horror, talking about more of the metaphysical aspects of horror, whereas like the Halloween trilogy, especially with Halloween Ends, had a lot to do with the metaphorical. So there's different ways of exploring the concepts of it. But I do love Terrifier, and I bring on Terrifier 3 100%. But there's always stuff there to discuss. Garrick here with the first super chat of the night, and not of the year. We had a lot the other night. Thank you though. Do you really think football should be abolished? I do. I think the NFL and the college football, I think it's a pipeline that leaves more people broken and destroyed from a young age that is just terrible. I mean, when we watch something like football, you're watching like gridiron gladiators. You know what I mean? It's like watching combat. We're in the Coliseum watching the games again, sort of thing. But the fact is that you have people collapsing after being tackled on air, as we saw tonight. You've got people that suffer from CTE, people who have died from CTE, people have committed murders because they contracted CTE. The NFL's complete avoidance of the topic, how they've tried to move away from that. You've got this pipeline, this industry that's a multi-billion-dollar a year industry that is designed around human suffering. But people like to look at it from the perspective of, I'm being entertained, so fuck the players on the field. They deserve what they get. They signed up for this. And I disagree with that. I don't have a problem with physical sports. What I have a problem with, though, is how a lot of it is maintained, how a lot of it does start in the younger, like high school football, how, administrators and educators will look the other way with the students and their education, simply because if the games do well, if they perform well, they can get more money, because in certain parts of the country, football is bigger than Christ. Then they go to college. Colleges do the exact same thing through college football, how the colleges make all of this money while still kind of doing a lot to look the other way for how student athletes can get an education. And then we have them going over to the majors, where they kind of like they have no applicable skills outside of the game. And if they burn out in a couple years, they're fucked. They're absolutely fucked. And that's what I think about that. And I've never liked football as a result of that. Jay David here, they stopped tackling in Pee Wee football already. I mean, that's a good start, sir. That's a good start. But again, it absolutely needs to be abolished. All right. That's kind of the whole point. That's my whole point on that, right? Baseball doesn't have that. I think hockey has chest guards to protect from a puck hitting someone's chest. You have soccer where that doesn't really happen, but only in American sports. And this largely targets the African-American community, which I think is another topic worth discussing at some point in time, about how it largely targets that community. And that community, needs education. It absolutely needs benefits in a number of ways in order to elevate people out of a certain, you could say certain class. And, and I feel like they just get targeted. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan. Let's see here. Shogun for 5. Thanks, buddy. He says, I wondered if they made football pads more soft, that would actually cut down on the brain damage because people wouldn't hit each other as hard. I mean, I don't have the science behind me to do it. I don't have the science to make suggestions. I can just look at it as I feel about it. If they did that, that'd be great. If they found a way to make it work. I don't think they're invested into that, though, because it doesn't benefit them in the long run. So there's that. But let's see. Jay here says football is the most violent in regards to tackles. People like it. It's kind of like people like watching. People liked watching the combat in the arena back in the Roman era, whatever, because that's what satiated a crowd of people, right? If you have an unruly, citizenship, if you have your citizens are not happy with the way things are going, put violence in front of them, have them watch people die, have them watch people get maimed, throw Christians out there and let lions tear them to shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's what gets the crowd riled up. That's what gets them throwing out their coin. That's what gets them to do all this stuff and then forget about their problems. And quite frankly, modern religion is just like modern football. It's designed to do the same thing. Thank you. All right, Garrick for 5. Thanks, buddy. He says, I also started buying 4K Blu-rays. What Twitter accounts should I follow? DM me on Twitter. I'll give you a list off the top of my head. I can't really think about them right now. But there's some good ones. And there's one guy that was like literally throwing a temper tantrum from his 4K info account. It's not the first time he's done it. I asked what was going on and he blocked me, which is also not the first time he's blocked me either. It's pretty funny. So there's that. Anyway, thank you for that, buddy. Really appreciate that. Command Unit here talking about Space Hulk, tactics, Gene Stealer trailer. All right, we'll take a look at that there at the end. Thank you for that, buddy. Really, really, really appreciate that. But why don't we get into, again, talking about football? We're going to talk about, there's obviously the elephant in the room. There is a sad passing in the community today. Not my community, not this community, but the overall film lover community. And that, of course, is Uche Nwaneri. If I could, God, I don't want to mispronounce his last name. 36 years old, passed away. Found this out today. And a lot of people are very upset. The Geeks and Gamers crew is very upset. The Fandom Menace is very upset. Look, you guys know I will call them out on bad takes. You guys know I will call them out over the dumb crap that they say. This was a 36-year-old father of 2 who had a heart attack and died in front of his wife, I believe. He leaves behind 2 young children. I have 2 young children myself. So from father to father, I completely sympathize. From human to human, I definitely sympathize. I have empathy for the family. My heart goes out to the family. And that's unfortunate. It's very terrible. I've seen people attempting to argue that he died because he was pro-vaccine. And he was actually pro-mandate. And I've seen people trying to argue that he got like myocarditis or he had died from the heart attack because of the vaccine. And those sick, deluded, twisted, dumb shit motherfuckers they piss me off because that's not the legacy that he would have wanted. And despite him and I battling each other over a numerous amount of issues over the span of the last couple of years, we have gone back and forth. He was even throwing shade my way the other day. I still am very sad that he passed away. 36 is way too young. We can have disagreements of opinions, but I know that he was a true fan. I know that he was a dedicated fan of what he loved. For that, I will not fault him for that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I have, in that regard, I have respect for him for fighting for what he believes, even if we disagree on a bit of it. And to his friends that are deeply affected by this, again, we might disagree on a number of issues, but you have my sympathy, you have my empathy, thoughts and prayers for whatever that is worth. Everyone, we mourn for the loss of Uche. We mourn for the loss of a content creator. We mourn for the loss of a father. We mourn for the loss of a man who was young. And yeah. So there's that there. Ralph here says, we'll never forget the stream we hosted with Snyder that caused a meltdown in the Menace. I mean, hey, again, we can disagree, but we can also look back on the good times, right? That was a fun one for me. Maybe not so much for him. But there's other things there that I know that people don't know. I can't talk about, but things I know that people don't know. But on that front, though, yeah. But look, I just wanted to say, regardless of all that, rest in peace, Uche. May you find happiness on the other side, wherever you may be. May your children find comfort in knowing that you fought for what you loved, at least in regards to entertainment, that you were doing what you wanted to do to build a better life for them. And may your friends find comfort in that as well as they grapple with their loss. That's all I can really say. So, I'm bummed to hear it. That's all. I just wanted to get that out there, guys. I just wanted to get that out there. Yeah. It sucks. All right. With that out of the way, let us move on. There's stuff to talk about here today. As we get into like the subject about M3GAN, Garrick here asking, isn't Medicare also dying? Yeah, we did watch the other night. We did watch the final 2 minutes of his stream. I did showcase how when I was in a moment of need back in 2017, so over 5 years ago, I was not in a good place, guys. I was really, I don't want to say that I was suicidal, but I was not far away from that. Back in 2017. And it was a lot of it was because of stress, right? So like I'd bought a house, like the apocalypse had happened. So I lost like 55% of my income after having just bought a house. My girlfriend is pregnant. First kid was on the way. I was just like freaking the fuck out. And it was just YouTube. When you do this as a job, you get into it. And it was not a good thing. And so Jim reached out to me one night and I'd made a comment about it on social media, kind of manic tweeting in the middle of the night. And he just kind of said everything was going to be okay. So, so it's like, again, that's the same concept is, I have my issues with Medicare, but I also fuck cancer. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing. Ashura here says, I asked a comment about Avatar 2. Did you? Let me see here if I missed it. I'm sorry if I did. I don't know if I saw it. What was the question? I'll see if I can find it again about Avatar 2. Because we are going to talk about Avatar 2 in a little bit. There is some stuff to talk about there with that. We kind of got off on the whole like football stuff and then mourning the loss of Uche, so obviously I'm just looking to see right here. Sure, right here. I don't see your comment. Doesn't Jim have a kid? I don't believe so. I don't believe he has children. I haven't heard if he does or doesn't. If he does, that makes it even worse. But his wife is his. I have talked to his wife before, many moons ago. So there's that. Galiad here for 2. Thank you, buddy. Says, have had a terrible holiday. Were you over on like another Robert Meyer Burnett stream? I don't know. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. That's why I kept it a little easy this year. We streamed the other night. That was a lot of fun. Watched, a bunch of shit. And then yesterday I kind of just hung out and I played Witcher 3. So there's that. Jared asking, do I have any hopes for the M3GAN film? I do, actually. I do. Ralph here says, he was right. Everything turned out great for Jarbo, unlike a certain pig who was living in a crack house in Mexico with the wild dogs. Oh, yes. The Ralph saga is always funny. That is pretty funny. Ryan here for 2. Thank you, buddy. Or 5. Thank you. So speaking of YouTube, did you hear that they're changing their policy on how often you should swear before getting demonetized? I heard it was in the first like 8 seconds or something. But I do try to keep it a little bit, whatever, you know what I mean? With all that stuff. But yeah, I like, this is Hollywood After Dark. I swear on this. I don't like, if I start pulling in like, 1,000 people watching a night, which probably won't happen, whatever. I would probably be like, oh, maybe I should kind of like lean back on the swearing a little bit. But because we watch so many trailers and because the show was supported via super chats from you guys and channel memberships and stuff, I don't really care much about the monetization. I don't make much on the back end. You know what I mean? Because of all that stuff. So, but if it got to be 3,000 people watching, that would be a much different scenario. We would probably hold everything and just do like membership stuff or streams where it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's a tough game, but thank you for that, Ryan. Really appreciate it. Blue Jay for $2 says, so I'm finally seeing Avatar 2 tomorrow, dude. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Make sure you get there early. I made the mistake of leaving an hour and a half early and being stuck in traffic. However, Enjoy it, man. Like, go to the bathroom ahead of time. It's 3 hours, 12 minutes, but it's a very fast paced movie. I think you'll quite enjoy it. You're going to be sucked in by the spectacle, by the cultural significance of what you're going to see. And I think you're going to like it, Blue Jay. And you come back and let me know what you think, man. I really want to know what you think. You're seeing it early at 1:45. Cool. So tomorrow night, you'll be able to come on the stream, come in the chat at least and be like, I saw it, I've lived, I've seen Avatar, and let us know how you feel, man. But also, even though Avatar is in theaters right now, there's a lot coming out in January of 2023. Surprisingly, there's actually a fair amount of movies dropping this month that I want to see. So we've got Plane, Gerard Butler and Mike Colter in a movie just called Plane. Look, the trailer looks cool. Like, Mike Colter is a criminal. He's being transported. The plane goes down. The crew and the passengers get kidnapped by local insurgents or whatever. And Gerard Butler and Mike Colter got to team up to go and free everybody. It looks fun. I saw the trailer. It looks like a lot of fun. But the name, I think we all can agree that the name is pretty terrible, right? The name is pretty bad. Then you got this one called The 80 for Brady. Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, was it Rita Moreno and Sally Field, which is based on a true story about a group of gray hairs that travel to go see Tom Brady. Jesus Christ. No wonder Giselle left him if this is the kind of trim he's pulling, man. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, man, what in the ass is that movie? It's just, what the hell? All right. There's that one there. Real quick, Jess here says, hopefully this week I can catch up on some movies. There's a lot to watch, man. There's a lot to watch. By the way, real quick side note here, Puss in Boots in theaters right now has grossed over 100 million worldwide. I think done very well. It's very high regarded by the media, by the critics. Fans seem to love it. Hits PVOD this Friday. And that's Universal's plan, right? I saw Rhea mention Violent Night, thought it was a horror movie, saw it as an action comedy, but that was also a movie that Universal dropped in theaters and then put it out pretty quickly. M3GAN is also, I think, a Universal film, so that should probably follow the same lineup on that one, but there's going to be good stuff on that. I'm looking forward to it. Let's see here. Blue Jay says, I've seen Puss in Boots 2 in theaters, and holy crap, the movie is so good. Yeah, I want to try to get to it this week. I'm gonna go see M3GAN on what's it called? On Thursday night if I can. Ralph, you're asking, is it wrong to like GILFs? It's not wrong to like GILFs. It's really not. I'll tell you, there's an old website out there, not around anymore, but it was called Style Project. And it was a gross out website. And I remember saw something with a GILF that was seared in my brain. And here it is, over 20 years later, and it is still, I can still remember how horrifying it was. So, yeah, it's not wrong. It's just not for me. You know what I mean? It's just not wrong. Not for me. You've got the new House Party coming out, as well as M3GAN, as I mentioned. House Party, I saw the trailer for. This was supposed to be an HBO Max movie. Now they're dropping it in theaters. It does look pretty funny, but will it compare to the original, right? To the original, I don't quite know. Then you've got Tom Hanks in a remake of, I think, like a Swedish movie called A Man Called Otto. That's coming out, I think, from Sony. Not too sure how I feel about that one. It will be on PVOD soon enough. I'll watch it then. You've got Missing, which is a follow-up to the film Searching. Same kind of screen share type storytelling. I saw the trailer for it. Storm Reed looks really good. Nia Long is going to be in it, as well as the mother who goes missing down in another country and everything else. And it looks really fascinating. I actually really want to see it. That one I will be definitely seeing in theaters. Shotgun Wedding, Josh Duhamel and Jennifer Lopez for an Amazon movie end of the month. I don't know. I mean, it could be funny. Then you got Cronenberg's new one with Mia Goth and one of the Skarsgårds, I believe. And that, of course, is Infinity Pool, which, again, Cronenberg is Cronenberg. And then you got Sun, which might be a movie already made about the weird-ass Tom Brady Instagram posts. And then a Teen Wolf movie streaming at the end of the month as well. Or middle month, it looks like. I don't know. I don't care. Never, ever watched Teen Wolf outside of the original movie because I don't need that shit. I don't need that Twilight light shit. Twilight fucking True Blood light crap on MTV. But that being said, I agree. I haven't seen Searching. Ryan here says it's really good. I need to see it. Keely here says, I'd rather throw a party at Jordan's house than LeBron's. Well, yeah. I mean, it's Jordan, baby. You know he's got a whole bunch of memorabilia from Space Jam, right? So that'd be okay. Is Cronenberg? I mean, it's not Cronenberg. It's not. Who is doing it? Who's doing Infinity Pool? Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was Infinity Pool. Who's directing it, right? It's Brandon Cronenberg. It's David's son. Brandon Cronenberg, David's son. Plotline of the movie, according to the internet, is guided by a seductive and mysterious woman. A couple on vacation venture outside the resort grounds and find themselves in a culture filled with violence, hedonism, and untold horror. A tragic accident soon leaves them facing a zero-tolerance policy for crime. Either you'll be executed, or if you're rich enough to afford it, you can watch yourself die instead. That's interesting. I mean, it could be fun. Could be interesting to check out. Let's see. Zachary here says, do you think the movie Plane is going to be Plane? Okay, I'll see myself out. Yeah, no. I think it's going to be a fun action. Look, I recently watched all of the Angel, Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen, Angel Has Fallen movies. And look, they're fun. They're fun. They're simple, but they're fun. So I'm all down for that. I'm 100% all down for that. But let us talk about M3GAN, because that was something I came across today that I was just a little bit not too happy about. So we found out today that M3GAN actually underwent reshoots that decided to tone it down to a PG-13 level. And they realized that they say here that they actually made the movie scarier as a result of trying to water it down. Now, look, the guy behind Saw is producing the movie, and that movie doesn't shy away from shit and made a lot of money. But here, they appear to be really wanting to bring in the younger Gen Z audience, right? Or the Gen Zers. So having a PG-13 rated movie coming out after a year of R-rated horror doing exceptionally well, it just comes across as stupid in my mind. It does. It comes across as stupid. So this is what it says. M3GAN director Jared Johnstone says he was inspired by Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell when he decided to reshoot some scenes to achieve the movie's PG-13 rating. In a new interview, the filmmaker, who previously helmed the wacky horror comedy Housebound, recalled feeling excited by the challenge of toning down certain sequences and having to get more creative when it came to the scares, saying making it PG-13 was something that happened after the fact, but it was always so close to PG-13 anyway. It seemed like a mistake not to embrace it. I even remember thinking early on this could be PG-13 in some of my favorite films like Drag Me to Hell are PG-13. So we made the decision to go PG-13 and actually reshot a couple things. What I was really stoked about is how that is about that when we reshot those scenes, they were more effective. It was like, yes, you do have to cut away at certain times, but it's fun to rely on sound and suggestion so much. Now, again, as I mentioned before, when the question popped up about when the question popped up about, Korea and Japan versus America, like Eastern horror versus Western horror, there is the sentimentality when it comes to the violence versus the thrills. American audiences want violence. All right. Like, they watch football. They want violence. That's not a controversial statement to make. Shiny, by the way, I see your super chat, and we'll get to that here in a minute. Thank you, buddy. I'm just saying it's very kind of to rely. Now he's just going so instead of showing you, right? Instead of he's telling you, not showing you. And I'm like, okay, fine. Usually that's not what we want, but all right, and you can have more fun to rely on sound and suggestion. I mean, look, you can only really kind of wince at the sound of a machete cutting a watermelon so many times, or cutting into a side of beef so many times. People are going to want to see it. So I'm just saying, I think they should have, if there is an R-rated cut out there, they should release that on home video when the movie drops in a couple weeks on streaming. But I'm still going to go see it because it still looks pretty good. So, So without spoiling too much, one particular moment that Jon Stone remembers tweaking a lot involves M3GAN and the vicious dog of Gemma's neighbor. Hounds in horror movies often tend to suffer grisly fates, but what happens to the pooch here happens entirely off camera, leaving the audience to imagine what M3GAN did to it. Now, what the hell? All right. So you want to imagine what happens to a dog? Look, here's the thing. A lot of people out there love dogs, and I'm not saying, oh, hey, murder all the dogs, right? But it's like recently, Resident Evil 4 remake, a little controversy happened out of that because in the original game, at one point you're cruising along, you come across a dog caught in a bear trap, and you have the ability to either save the dog or to not save the dog. In the remake, they got rid of that option, and the dog is just dead. And that made a lot of people upset. And I think it takes away the idea of seeing it happen or not seeing, or not having a hand in it. It's kind of like, I just think it's kind of weird to sit there and go, yeah, at one point a dog dies, but we don't actually see it in the movie. I mean, not that you necessarily have to see it. Hearing the dog yip is something that is going to directly impact a fair amount of people, right? Hearing a dog yip is going to be a thing. Music Man here says, I'm a dog person, so show the dog dying. It's horror, damn it. I mean, there's been a lot of movies where that's happened. Have you guys ever seen the movie The Collector? Holy fuck. Not only the cat, but the dog. What they do to that German Shepherd in that movie is fucked up. All right. Blessing here says, she's a moving doll with feelings and can dance moves. Go R-rated or go home. But part of me kind of understands. I get it. I think because of the concept that M3GAN is a doll that is being like kind of created or aimed for, let's say, it's like an 11-year-old doll, right? So they're obviously going to try to get like 11-year-olds to come into the movie. Like that's just kind of how it goes, right? They're just trying to do that. So I would assume at this particular point, they realize that like 11-year-old kids are going to go see this movie, and they probably don't want to necessarily see that particular violence, even though I do think it's ridiculous to not do it. It's just stupid to not do it. You should absolutely do it. Let's see. Ryan Hartwell here says Wes Craven's Cursed got the same treatment, and it didn't turn out that well. Really? I remember Red Eye and Cursed both being PG-13. Was there an unrated cut of Cursed? I honestly, I haven't seen it in 17 years, and I need to, because I really like that movie quite a bit. In fact, Red Eye and Cursed both coming from Wes Craven as fast as they came out, in relation to one another was really cool because they were just completely different movies. And I thought he did a great job on both. So I need to look into that. Maybe a audio commentary. Shiny here though with a $6.69 super chat. Thank you, Shiny. Says, here's to a good new year and for a mention of Style Project. And he spelled it correctly. That was like the first quote unquote snuff film I remember seeing too. Like, it wasn't real. It was fake, but there's so much on that website. You have no idea. It was like Rotten.com, Gore Gallery, and Style Project like 22 years ago were all the rage, if not more. Weren't the Insidious movies rated PG-13? I believe that they were. I know they've done well. I actually haven't seen any of them, to be honest with you. I haven't seen any of them at all. So, Zachary here says, I usually have an issue watching animals dying in horror movies as I do with watching kids die in horror movies. Like I'm playing The Witcher 3 last night and I come across a woman who's dead, a husband who's dead, and then I find the body of the child. And I was like, ooh, fuck, And so there was another mission where I saved kids from dying, and that the consequence of that led to a very sad outcome for a character that I actually had grown to like. So that game made me feel, man. That game made me feel. So Ryan says, oh yeah, there's an unrated Cursed film. I've seen the PG-13 version and felt it disjointed compared to the former. Well, hell yeah, I gotta seek that movie out, dude. I love a good werewolf movie, dude. We need one. The Garrick here says, Cursed is all right. Nothing has topped American Werewolf in London in terms of werewolf movies. Okay. Yes. American Werewolf in London is peak werewolf movie. All right. Peak werewolf movie. That movie is brilliant. It's amazing. Griffin Dunn does a fantastic job as the buddy in that one. I liked just like even when they go to like the porn theater and like how weirdly comedic that movie is. I think Jenny Agutter is the nurse in that one, and man, like I had a thing for her when I first saw Logan's Run, you know. So it's like, so yeah, like it's such a classic movie. Whereas An American Werewolf in Paris is nowhere near as good, but I still like American Werewolf in Paris. I think Wolf was really good with James Spader and Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer. That was like a werewolf erotic movie. If you haven't seen that one, kind of weird, but the effects were pretty solid. You know, obviously there's like the 2008 werewolf movie starring Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro. Yes, and I'm not going to forget Silver Bullet, King of Golden State. Yes, Silver Bullet is also the shit. All right. Perp Minded brings up Ginger Snaps. I've never seen Ginger Snaps, but yes, you're right. Those are werewolf movies. There's some good werewolf movies out there, guys. I mean, like, could we go with some more? Hell yeah. Like, I think it'd be like, you know, vampires are easier just on like on a prosthetic front, but there's that. I have not seen The Howling, and I haven't seen Dog Soldiers. I know Neil Marshall directed Dog Soldiers. I'm fully aware about Dog Soldiers. I just need to see it. Marcus here says The Howling is better than An American Werewolf in London. You know, I'm going to let you guys fight that out in the chat, because An American Werewolf in London is a classic movie in my mind. I absolutely love it. So I haven't seen The Howling, but you know what? I mean, there's always a good time for watching horror, man. I think horror is a lot of fun. So speaking of horror, let's talk about Jeremy Renner, because what he must have gone through was pretty horrific, and I'm glad he seems to be doing okay. According to the direct.com here, they say Jeremy Renner undergoes emergency surgery. It's a miracle he is alive, says a source. Yeah, a snowplow fell on him, man. A fucking snowplow. So it says, Marvel Studios actor Jeremy Renner is receiving emergency surgery after a significant leg injury that put him in the hospital on New Year's Day. Renner made headlines on the first day of 2023, as it was reported that the actor was in critical but stable condition after a weather-related incident. The Avengers actor was helping clear snow after a major snowstorm hit the northern Nevada area on New Year's Eve when a piece of plowing equipment rolled over his leg. Since the initial report, details have been scarce as an investigation by local Nevada police looks into what happened with the vehicle. However, fans have an update on the star's status as he remains in the hospital, saying here that he's lucky to be alive. According to Extra TV, Renner underwent urgent surgery on Monday after injuries sustained during a freak snowplow accident. The MCU star is now said to be conscious, stable, and speaking. Good. So they said here that we can confirm that Jeremy has suffered blunt chest trauma and orthopedic injuries and has undergone surgery. This being on January 2nd. He has returned from surgery and remains in the intensive care unit in a critical but stable condition. His family would like to express their gratitude to the incredible doctors and nurses looking after him. Truckee Meadows Fire and Rescue, Washoe County Sheriff, Reno City Mayor Hillary Shivey, I'm not too sure, and the Carano and Murdoch families. Carano? Gina Carano, perhaps? I don't know. Maybe, guys. Maybe that's her way back in. She's like, my family saved your Hawkeye star. Put me back in, Chief. Tag me back in. Although I don't think on the pecking order of Marvel heroes at this particular point in time, Jeremy Renner is going to be up there for that sort of thing. TMZ did report, though, that Renner had extensive injuries and was losing large amounts of blood before a neighbor who happened to be a doctor helped him by getting a tourniquet on his leg until paramedics were able to airlift the actor to the hospital. And of course, the next show he's in is his own documentary series, Renovations, premiering on Disney Plus in the coming month. Look, I'm glad that Jeremy Renner is okay. All right, but Renovations, like, come on, man. Come on, man. No. Like, the reason why it's I'm not here's here's the thing, Marcus. I'm not talking shit about Renner, dude. I've been a fan of Renner since fucking National Lampoon Senior Trip back in the late 90s, dog. What I'm talking about here is the fact that it's called Renovations, all right? Like it's just to me, it's pretty fucking funny that's what it's called. That's all it is, dude. I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad he's fine. I'm glad he's doing better. Obviously, there is that one there. Ryan, I see your super buddy. We're gonna get to that here in a little bit. We're gonna keep things going. I got one there from Command Unit as well. We're gonna get to that here in a minute. Just gonna keep the ball rolling because guys, I gotta laugh at this tonight. I gotta laugh at this. This came out today. Warner Brothers has officially unveiled a Black Adam and Man of Steel 2-film collection. 2-film collection. You guys. This is this is the gift that keeps on giving, man. I'm serious. It's so fucking funny. Black Adam, Man of Steel 2-film collection. Do you want to see the showdown between the Man in Black and the Man in Blue, the son of Krypton and the champion of Kondak? I mean, guys, come on. I agree with Garrick here, man. Where's that comment at? Man of Steel is worth owning. Black Adam, not so much. I agree, dog. I agree. I own Man of Steel in like a multitude of formats. I love Man of Steel. Such a good movie. All right. But it's so funny that this was something that they were working on. They're like, the movie Black Adam is going to be so big, so massive, so amazing. So the hierarchy of power at the DCU is going to change. It's going to blow everyone's socks off. Hiram Garcia is going to get the role at the head of DC Studios. And baby, oh baby, we're going to be rolling deep in the DCU pussy. And then, of course, none of that happens. Command Unit here for $2. Thank you. Says salt meets wound. Yes, seriously. Because here, we actually can find out. Right here, that's like having the Batman 89 Batman and Robin collection. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Donovan here says they are coping. They are. Jay here says they're just trolling at this point. 100%. Let's see. Donovan here says Enosh is coping about Ezra still going on now. If people aren't seeing the Flash, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, that's some crazy shit. Like you do. Rodney here says we know you hate The Rock, which is false. I've unequivocally stated my support for The Rock. I've told you to go watch Black Adam on multiple occasions. But you realize The Rock has no control over this release, right? The Rock, no, it's not that The Rock has. They packaged it together when the deal came through. So when they packaged it together when the deal came through, obviously they were anticipating it being bigger than it was. So yeah, I think he had some say in this. I think he had understanding and knowledge about this. And it was his power move that got Man of Steel in his movie, which would make this particular collection something that would have come out of that particular move. So there is definitely that. Keely Chow says it's like having a Superman 4 collection. You can go right from the 1978 seminal classic Superman all the way to 1989's Quest for Peace. Ooh. It's terrible. Jerry, you're asking, you going to cover the Batgirl pictures? I don't have them up, man. If you can send them to me on Twitter or something, I'll check it out, though. But here, we got a little bit more information about this, by the way. So looking here at the article, all right. Where is that article? I had it here, damn it, I had time. All right. So here we go. Oh my God, where is it? They had the pricing. Where was this at? It was, oh yeah, here we go. As listed on the Microsoft Store, Warner Brothers released a new 2-film collection bundling 2013's Man of Steel and 2022's Black Adam, which became available digitally on iTunes, Vudu, and the Microsoft Store, and other retailers on December 16th for $29.99. So this isn't even like new. This is a couple weeks old. When they put Black Adam on PVOD, they bundled it digitally on iTunes and Vudu and Microsoft and other retailers for $29.99 with Man of Steel. All right, that actually like seems to make a little bit more sense, to be honest with you. But dude, you gotta chuckle, right? You gotta chuckle at all that stuff right there. It's just hysterical to me here. All right, we got a couple. Yeah, if you guys want to send me the Batgirl things on Twitter, I don't have them. I saw them. I have to go look for them real quick, right? So we can look at that real quick as well, because there's also the Warner Brothers 100-year celebration, in which case there's some interesting things we talked about there. But first, we got to get to some super chats, because I always seem to bury the leads on those, and you guys like to remind me that I do that, so I apologize, because you guys are awesome and I love you. All right here. So, all right. Ryan here says, for 5, thank you, buddy. I'm all for building suspense and tension and leaving it to the imagination. But if you're going R in terms of violence, go all the way. Exactly. People like the violence. Like there's that one that came out. I still need to see it. Christmas, Bloody Christmas, which was literally all about, a mechanical Santa Claus going on a homicidal killing spree. Are you fucking kidding me? That sounds awesome, right? That sounds awesome. Like you wouldn't want that. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want that stuff. So it's just ridiculous craziness that they want to kind of go, but they want to go PG-13 in order to bring in, they want to do that in order to bring in all the stuff. I totally get that, right? I totally get that. One of the fascinating things is really just kind of like, it's just, how do I say this? It's like they want to bring in the younger audience of people, which I totally get. But yeah, look at the success, like literally look at the success of some of this stuff, right? Of like, is it here? I'm trying to find the Leslie Gray stuff real quick, because I saw she said they posted it on Instagram, but like whatever. I haven't seen it. But it's kind of like when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. And look at Smile. Smile was a $20 million movie, and it did like over, I think, 200 million worldwide or some crap like that, because it ended up like really just kind of going well with audiences. They resonated with it, right? It just did well. It kept going. It had legs. Movies like that can do that. You don't need to water it down. Look at Violent Night, $20 million budget about motherfucking Santa Claus in a Die Hard type situation where they have no issue showcasing all the massive violence and gore and craziness that comes out of that particular thing. And it cracks me up that like those movies like are doing really well, but here they're like, oh yeah, we're just afraid. We're just really afraid of doing this. And that's just unfortunate, because quite frankly, it doesn't benefit anyone to do that. And I don't know. I have so much trouble with that, guys. I just have so much trouble with that, just on such a weird level. But anyway, thank you for that, Ryan. We got Command Unit for 5. Thank you, buddy. Says, if you like horror, I recommend Deacon of Wounds and The Bookkeeper's Skull. They are great 40K horror. Really good as audiobooks also. I'm waiting for the day, Command Unit, somebody writes like an erotic fiction of 40K, of like, but not fiction. I mean like actual, like an erotic story set in the 40K universe that is deemed canon by Games Workshop. And like, Henry Cavill's like, that's the one I want to make. No, but thank you for that. I'll Deacon of Wounds and The Bookkeeper's Skull. Are they long, or are they whatever? How long are they, do you think? Benson here for 5. Thanks, buddy. Says Renner will be fine. Marvel couldn't kill him off over 10 years. If they can't save the leg, he could always switch franchises to Pirates. Oof. To be fair, Jeremy Renner has had a lot of problems. There was that whole situation involving his ex, and the allegations made against him due to a custody battle. And a lot of people thought that was going to get him booted out of the Marvel franchise. Like they really thought that. And it didn't happen. He actually ended up doing okay. He ended up doing, he got on with it, whatever. Sometimes these online controversies aren't really as big as a lot of people out there want to believe, as a lot of people out there want to say. They're really not. They're just like, it's just, social media. Like I'm going to do a whole thing on Hogwarts Legacy, because like I've literally seen people on Twitter today that were like, if you buy this game, if you support this game, you want to see the murder of trans people. And it's like, whoa, okay, for one, pump the hyperbolic brakes there. Let's chill a second. Let's back up a second. Let's have a conversation about this. You can not like J.K. Rowling all you want. That's perfectly fucking fine. She's not the one working on this game. And she's already been fucking paid for it. So it's like, if you just don't want any more Harry Potter, then just acknowledge that. But you know, I'll do a whole Harry Potter night. I have to, kids go back to school on Wednesday, I think. So tomorrow's our last day of winter break. So I'll be able to go back to the library and get back into my research phase of stuff. Have time to do that would be a thing. Anyway, Garrick here for $5. Thank you, buddy. Really, really, really appreciate that. Says, why do people call The Rock the biggest movie star in the world when his solo movies gross so little and fail to make franchises? Ooh, well, you know, I mean, that is a very, that's a very interesting question. And one that, you know, I've asked myself on multiple occasions here on the show, and I've brought it up, and maybe I'll do that in a video, right? Maybe I'll pour some salt on the wound a little bit to finally showcase to all the Rock fans that your God is infallible, right? The thing is, The Rock absolutely wants to be big, and I get that. And the guy has made a name for himself, and he's by all accounts a nice guy, but he's a business guy. We've talked about this. So he tries dabbling in different movies, and he tries jumping into different franchises, and he tries all these things, and some work, some don't. But I think the problem, though, is that we never talk about his failures. Him responding to Grace Randolph, win some, lose some, in regards to this, was very interesting and humbling on his end, to be 100% fair. 100% fair. It was humbling on his end for him to do that. But the key thing here to consider is that, like, he had to take a public L on this, and he's going to move away from DC 100%. Like, he's backing away from DC. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see. Drops double tits here, says, is 2023 and Jarbo still talking about Black Adam and The Rock? Hey man, listen, it was a super chat question from a longtime viewer. You are also a longtime viewer, but he threw down the 5. You gonna match that and call me out? I'm just saying, bro. Step up. I'm kidding. Rational here says, any discussion on Hogwarts Legacy on Reset Era will get you permabanned on the site. Any discussion of any kind on Reset Era will get you permabanned on the site. Like, my God. It is what it is, though. It's so like, look, I've been watching video on Hogwarts Legacy. I want to play the game. It looks like a lot of fun. Am I going to buy it when it comes out? Probably. Or I might wait. I don't know. I might wait a month. It's going to drop in price. If the game tanks in sales, then they'll just end up, you know, dropping the price halfway, and then I'll get it cheaper. But either way, I'm going to eventually get my hands on it. So there's that. Jess here says, hey, The Rock. Hey, Kevin, do you have a place for me and Marvel? There's been some interesting talk about that, so to speak. I actually found out today, and I don't know why this happened. Sil Abdul, who I have talked a lot of shit about, actually unblocked me on social media. I don't know if he cleared out his block list, whatever, but he unblocked me. And I was looking through his feed today, and I saw that that there was somebody talking about that The Rock has reached out to Marvel or something along those lines. And he's like, yeah, I'd believe it. But I also noticed a distinct lack of anything really mentioning Mikey Sutton on there in the last week or so. Now, I don't know if it's the holidays or whatever, but, you know, it is very interesting to see exactly where things are going to go with, with Geekosity, because, you know, here it is, the 2nd of the year, and they haven't posted a new update in a couple days. So, you know, they're losing out on that great advertising at the end of the year money. Ralph Stubble-Titzer says, one day I'll be a pay picky. Oink, oink, baby. No, listen, as I've said multiple times, I appreciate all of you, whether you super chat, become a member or not. Thank you guys so much. Rational says, do you want a code from it? Hey man, if you're hooking me up, I will take it. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you. Yes, I am looking forward to playing Dying Light and everything else, because I do love those games. Okay, Donovan here says, I feel like we're getting close to something for Argyle. Very close. I feel Super Bowl. I'm hoping that it's that we get something on Argyle to at least know where we stand on whether or not it is a real movie or if it is a con. And I'm kind of hoping it's the con, because I think that's such a fascinating way of going about it. I think it's such an interesting way of establishing a mystery around this new movie that could build a lot of hype, bringing people over to Apple TV Plus, because the movie is going to be, you know, like it's a $200 million movie over on Apple TV Plus. This stuff is crazy. Anyway, Garrick here says, pay piggy for Matt like DSP's pay piggies. No, no. There's a difference, Garrick. There's a difference. I say thank you. I don't sit there and go, oh, guys, I need to get a new car or I need to pay my mortgage. Oh, no, all of those things are real. I absolutely have to do all those things, but I'm not doing that. Like, I could never bring myself to berating people for whatever. Like, have I thought about like doing like a GoFundMe to like get new computer equipment because my computer is showing its age? Yeah. But at the same time, like, I'm not desperate enough to do that. So for me, it's like, I have such a weird thing with that. But no. Anyway, Jay here says The Rock is in his 50s. So his window to be a superhero is getting smaller. He has to look for something soon. I mean, yeah, it's like Black Adam was kind of that, and it just kind of failed, unfortunately. Garrick here says, what about The Rock returning to DC via Elseworlds? I do think that could be a thing down the road. All right. Like down the road. So there's all that, right? I do think that could potentially happen. And you know what? I champion it. I really liked Hawkman and Dr. Fate and Black Adam. I thought there was some good elements of that movie. The story was like the weakest part of that film, which is unfortunate because like it was shot well. It was directed well. The action was good. I liked the characters outside of Black Adam kind of being the least favorite of the movie, but the villain was bad and the overall story wasn't engaging enough. And I think that's the biggest problem. And so, yeah, if they bring it back, bring it back. There we go. Henry here says, I disagree with pretty much all of your opinions. I'm here because you're one of the few channels that are not culture war infested, and I prefer cringe bad takes over obvious racist and sexist. That's, you know what, man? Props. All right. Props. We can have disagreements, brother. I'm okay with that, dude. Henry, I love fighting, man. I love fighting. You can disagree with my takes all day, every day. It's all good, dude. It's all good. I appreciate you being here, even if you disagree. All right. Thank you very much for your comment and your honesty. I appreciate it. But all right, why don't we talk about the future of Warner Brothers? Because here we found that this is a press release they put out today. This is what they said. Warner Brothers Discovery kicks off year-long centennial celebration for studio's 100th anniversary. What this says to me, guys, is that they are desperate to build up a lot of attention and to try to make a lot of money in 2023 for their 100-year anniversary, because they need it at this particular point. All right. Thank you. All right. Where's my bank page here? Okay. So according to this, they said here that David Zaslav, the chief executive officer, says here, the name Warner Brothers is synonymous with entertainment, and we are honored to be celebrating this iconic studio centennial and the rich heritage that stretches back to the four brothers who founded it in 1923. Over the past 100 years, Warner Brothers has created some of the most recognizable and beloved films, TV shows, and characters ever made, and has been the place for impactful storytelling that both defines and reflects our culture. We are excited about our company's bright and dynamic future, and as we embark on its second century, to continue to tell the kind of great stories that entertain, inform, and inspire audiences around the world. Hey, fun thing happened, by the way. Yesterday, they removed like 260 Looney Tunes short films from HBO Max yesterday, right? Oh, guys, we're all about that legacy. We're all about the inspirational and the entertainment and the informative. We're all about it. Fuck Looney Tunes. But I will say this, though. If they took off the dancing frog one, I'm going to be okay. I hate that sketch, dude. I hate that sketch. It's my least favorite Looney Tunes sketch. I don't know why. The dancing frog it's too long. It's too dreary. It's not funny. I'm not a fan of that there. Moisture here asking, who will have the better 100th anniversary, WB or Disney? Oh, dude, 100% Disney. Are you kidding me? But well, you know, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. All right, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. Warner Bros. Might got a trick or two up their sleeve. With everything else. Yeah, Benson brings up the 4K stuff, which is, again, I think that's going to be really fascinating here. So getting into this here, this is how they're going to celebrate through programming. Among the centennial programming and content highlights are a 3-part documentary on the history of Warner Brothers from WB Unscripted Television to debut on HBO Max. And of course, select partners and territories where HBO Max isn't available because they want you to see that 3-part documentary about the history of Warner's. I'm actually, as a documentary fan, I'm looking forward to that. Programming marathons and special episodes across Warner Brothers Discovery's 40 plus domestic networks and international channels. Archival interviews airing on Extra from the series' 29 seasons of studio set visits and red carpet premieres and junkets, and a year-long focus on classic Warner Brothers films on TCM. Partnerships with various community organizations to help recruit and identify filmmakers to be a part of a short film project paying homage to some of Warner Brothers' most iconic films, and centennial branding and events connecting fans to the studio's TV brands, franchises, and characters. Wow. None of that sounds interesting. I mean, the 3-part documentary does, but like, look, man, as much as I love learning about the making of movies and how everything came together, Extra, kind of going through studio set visits, that's kind of cool. But red carpet premieres and press junkets are fundamentally like cancer. So I don't care about any of that, but seeing the sets would be pretty dope. Otherwise, I don't care. All right, Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. They will release a series of celebratory film and TV bundles on digital, Blu-ray, and DVD, including 25 film volumes and a 100 film collection, both featuring souvenir collectibles, complete television series, series collections available for the first time, and best of TV compilations from the most beloved WTV. I really don't like the best of TV compilations because it's like you get 4 episodes from this show and like 8 episodes from that show. And it just feels weird to me. That's part of my OCD, by the way. Now, throughout the year, Warner Brothers Home Entertainment will also release a dozen remastered titles for the first time in 4K, ultra high definition, with titles ranging from the Superman 5 film collection to special 50th anniversary editions of Enter the Dragon and The Exorcist. That's pretty cool. Now I was like, I'm like, Superman 5 film collection, and you know what that is? That's going to be Superman 1 through 4 and Superman Returns. So or it could be Superman 2 and the Donner Cut, both getting 4K releases, each one getting an individual 4K release. But do we really need Superman 3 and Quest for Peace in 4K? I mean, do we need it? No. Are they probably going to use an AI algorithm to make it? The answer to that is probably yes. Garrick here saying HBO Max still doesn't have good 4K support. It doesn't. Actually, James Gunn has even called that out too. It's the Donner Cut? Okay. Is it both? Is it just the Donner Cut? Because I know people out there some people out there prefer the theatrical edition to the Donner Cut. So that's great. Shut the fuck up, Matt. Superman 4 was great. Shut the fuck. Superman 3. No, you just like it because of Richard Pryor. All right. You just like it because of Richard Pryor. Anyway, just but look, I'm willing to see what they got there on those movies. All right. I'm not against those. Bring them on. HBO Max will launch dedicated programming in late January with thematic and seasonal programming. HBO Max will mine the unmatched Warner Brothers film and television libraries to present curated collections celebrating holidays and cultural events, including Black History Month, Women's History Month, Asian American Pacific Islander Month, and Pride/LGBTQ. So February, March, is AAPI, is that May? And then I know Pride Month is June. So what, just the first couple months out of the year, guys? Right? What, July's got nothing? You bigoted sons of bitches. Anyway. Consumer products, from apparel to houseware to toys, collectibles, publishing, retailers, and food and beverage companies. Jesus. Warner Brothers Discovery Global Consumer Products is partnering with some of the world's most popular and powerful brands to mark this milestone. Throughout 2023, Consumer Products will present several exclusive centennial activations with key partners including Amazon, Saks Fifth Avenue, Funko, Mattel, New Era, Running Press, and more. Additionally, a new line of products will be unveiled featuring the Looney Tunes, cornerstone of Warner Brothers history, taking center stage as the ultimate superfans dressed up as either legacy Warner Brothers characters from fan favorite franchises such as DC and the Wizarding World. Like I said, they just removed 260 Looney Tunes short films from HBO Max. And you're telling me here that they're going to put out a press release saying like, yo, dog, we fucking love Looney Tunes. We absolutely adore Looney Tunes. It is this shit. We fucking love this shit. And everything else. Hold on here. Wait. We need a Quest for Peace extended cut. It's both. Does it exist? Does a Quest for Peace extended cut actually exist? Because like that got my attention a little bit. Mikey Rowe here says, yeah, let's release new Looney Tunes merch when they purge 260 Looney Tunes. It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. It's so terrible. Like they literally put their foot in their mouth all the time. But okay, now we get into the experiences. There's going to be a candlelight concert series across 100 cities, taking fans on a musical journey through 100 years of Warner Brothers in cities around the globe, like LA, New York, London, Melbourne, Paris, Singapore, Milan, Sao Paulo, and Mexico City. You know, I wouldn't mind going to this if it's in Seattle, to be fair. A TCM Classic Film Festival in Hollywood in April to celebrate key films and major talent from Warner's histories, including Casablanca, the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist, Enter the Dragon, and the world premiere restorations of East of Eden and Rio Bravo. That's actually fucking cool. I'll fully admit that. That would be pretty great. Limited engagement theatrical screenings of some of Warner Brothers' most popular films. That I'm okay with, right? Limited engagement, I'm okay. That's like Fathom event type shit, right? But like, it really depends on what those movies are. We'll have to wait and see. Probably Superman will be in there. You know, like they'll do like, oh, the 4K, they're going to screen it in 4K in theaters. I think I would go see that. If they do like a one night screening of the original 78 Superman 4K remaster, I'd be there. We'd all be there. I think we all would agree on that one. Commemorative screenings at the Warner Brothers Theater at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. So if I go to DC, I guess, or if I go to Washington, DC, activations at Warner Brothers hotel and theme parks around the world, including WB Abu Dhabi, Warner Brothers. Okay. So all over the world. You can also go to the studio and do a studio tour, the world's premier attraction for getting fans closer to the entertainment they love. A special 100th anniversary exhibit will debut as part of the tour in February. Later in the year, more centennial-themed surprises will be unveiled. Well, if I find myself in LA this year, I'll try to check it out. So, I mean, there's a lot there that they're going to try to do. And it's fascinating to see what they're going to try to do. It could be good. It could be bad. It could be whatever. All right. There's all that. Now, Jess here says, hey, Zaslav, where's my animation content? He doesn't believe in you. He doesn't believe in you, Jess. And even Jerry here says, I don't believe in Zaslav. There's a lot of that. I agree. But then Moisture here does come in with a very fair hot take. To be fair, was anybody watching 200 plus episodes of Looney Tunes? It's kind of like not the point. All right. It's kind of not the point, but I understand what you mean. Okay. I do. I understand what you mean. I get it. I fully understand it. But at the same time, it's cool. It's fine. It's okay. Like, it's going to be okay. I think like they'll bring it back eventually. This stuff's just, I don't know. It's just, they fuck up so badly. Speaking of fucking up, and I just kind of want to spend a real quick second on this one because I just, again, want to complain about it. 1899 has been canceled by Netflix after one season. Now, look, I have not seen this show. Okay. So I can't speak about the quality of the show, nor can I speak about any of the other aesthetics of it. I did know that it existed. I know that it's from the creators of Dark, which was a well-beloved 3-season German show that did very well outside of the native Germany on Netflix. And so this was their next big thing. And apparently the show was really interesting. But they've decided to cancel the fucking show. And that's crazy, man. There was actually an interesting thing I didn't grab it. I'm finding it. So, but let me talk about why this is interesting to me. It's not that I've seen, the show that I know the show is going to be good. What it is though, is the fact that the show just premiered not too long ago. It's got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb and a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. It literally dropped a month and a half ago. All right. The whole first season dropped and they decided to cancel it. Now, the guy who is behind it, Baron Bo Odar, Odar. Sorry. He was talking about it today a little bit on Instagram. Let me just bring up his Instagram here. I thought I had it in my files. I did not. But he's bringing it up here, and he says here, it's with a heavy heart that we have to tell you that 1899 will not be renewed. We would have loved to finish the incredible journey with the second and third season as we did with Dark, but sometimes things don't turn out the way that you had planned. That's life. We know this will disappoint millions of fans out there, but we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts that you're part of this wonderful adventure. We love you. Never forget. Now, the reason why to me that's interesting is because like even this guy down the road over here was when this first came out, he was talking about, he showed this, right? Oh my God, 1899 is now #1 in 55 countries and in the top 10 in 89. Yesterday, we were in the top 1 in 20. We thank you for all the love. We thank you for Netflix and Netflix, right? Like, so the show was doing well on Netflix. You know what I mean? Like it was doing well on the show. Like it was, like there's a lot even, let me take a look here. Netflix has got its top 10 for television, right? I'm trying to find where that's at. I could have sworn I saw that in, hold on. Cause I'm trying to find it here if I can. They had like the top 10 in, for TV as well. See if I can actually locate it here. Let's see, TV shows. All right, let's take a look. So, okay. Top 10 TV global. I guess it looks like it kind of, okay. 1899. It was doing well for the first month. It was in the top 10 for the first month, but it started to, I'll just show you guys the image here. So you guys don't leave up the other thing on screen. Here we go on this one. So Netflix global top 10 weekly top 10 list for the most watched television and film. So this is for, television. So let's go back to, early, was it, it was, November 21st, right? 1899 and Wednesday opened around the same time. We can see here that Wednesday blew everything else out of the fucking water, right? Blew everything else out of the water. I mean, that is almost like 4 times. That is over 4 times the amount of hours viewed than 1899 season 1 in the very first week. And I'll admit, I watched the show. I watched it back then. I watched all that stuff back then, right? You know, and I watched Wednesday. I thought Wednesday was a really, really, really well done show. I fucking love it. Now there's rumors, and I'll talk about this tomorrow, but there's rumors that it may not even be renewed at Netflix because MGM is now owned by Amazon and they may want to take it over there, which is just really funny. So then moving on here, we can see that December 28th to December 4th, 1899, went from being, what was this year? It was number, is it, okay, sorry. Okay, here we go. It was number, damn it, I was off a little bit there. All right, sorry, I'm looking ahead here. So in week 2, I'm guessing, it was, sorry. Its first week it came out, it was number 2, with 79 million hours watched, just coming in 5 million hours underneath The Crown. That's in its 5th season. So that's actually really good. Then in week 2, going up against Wednesday, it actually jumped up by another 13 million hours watched and was still doing pretty well. Then in the 3rd week, it did drop, pretty dramatically drop as Wednesday just fucking exploded. Look at that, right? 44, I mean, literally almost 10 times the amount of views Dark had, or Wednesday had, versus 1899 season 1. And then it dropped from number 2 down to number 4 with only 27 million hours. And then after that, it dropped down to number 7, December 12th through the 18th. And that was with, where's it at? With 17 million hours. So, I mean, so it's like, and then by then it was already out by the end of the month. So by the end of the year, 5 weeks after its release, out of the top, it ended up just dropping off. Whereas Wednesday just dominated and dominated and dominated and dominated almost nonstop. Benson's here says, stopped watching after 3 episodes, boring show. Now, to me, that's fascinating to see if that's going to be good or bad or the other. I don't know, right? I don't quite know what exactly they're going to be doing with that. But I still think it's really bad that they got rid of the show after just that. Because the problem, though, is a show like 1899 is not one. I knew that it had come out. It came out after Halloween, which was kind of ridiculous. Okay. It came out after Halloween. It came out after all that bullshit. It went up against Wednesday, which was massive. They didn't stagger the release. They didn't do it week to week. They dropped it all at once. And like I said, that's always a bad call for some of these shows. Wednesday had 8 episodes. It was extremely approachable, which makes sense as to why it did what it did. But this one, again, like a lot of these commenters I've seen online are basically just like, look, this is something. They did not give it a chance to find new legs. They didn't work with influencers. If they would have gone to the horror community on YouTube or in podcasts and like tried to work with them to bring on like cast from the show or crew from the show or the director or the writers, whatever, to talk about it, that would have probably helped, because the horror community is super engaged and they're super on the ball for this kind of stuff. But if they don't know about it, then they don't know about it. Garrick here for 5. Thanks, buddy. Says Netflix needs to change the way it renews shows. Not everything should be dictated by an algorithm. Yeah, 100%. And it's hurting. It's just hurting these shows. It's really ridiculous. Henry here says we need to figure out how Netflix makes decisions. It can't be IMDb because it's purely viewing hours. It's possibly something like subscription retention, production costs, and we don't have the info. No. You're right. You're absolutely right. There's probably a lot there. That we don't, there's a lot that we don't know. I can't say probably, I guarantee it. They have like, I think a trademark over their algorithm or something from what I had read somewhere. So there's a lot that goes into this here. But the thing you have to remember is that like shows take time to develop audiences, right? When I talk about the video I put out, earlier today about the cultural, impact of Avatar, and a lot of people are kind of giving me shit over it, that the movie had no fucking, had no impact whatsoever. I disagree. But the thing is, though, like after 13 years of not having come out, even though there wasn't like anything really new that we knew about it, the sequel is blowing up and it has legs. It's maintaining, it's growing. It's not going to beat the original, but it's going to beat out a lot of the competition. In fact, it's already destroyed and demolished the competition. So that's one of the things we have to kind of take into account here, is that when we think about this stuff, there is entirely like, you gotta give things time to keep going. Giving it 5 weeks is just kind of ridiculous. It's just kind of ridiculous though. Shogun here asking, is Netflix hurting for more money than we think? I don't know. I really don't know. I do think they're going to start curating a lot more content versus just giving everyone a blank check. All right. That's the whole thing. Robotic Dre here says, do you think it's possible that Wednesday will move from Netflix to Amazon Prime? I think given the popularity of the numbers we just saw, the amount of hours that were watched, like we're talking over 1 billion hours watched there, guys. Netflix will pay for it. And they probably have like the right of whatever, they have rights with it because this contractually obligated. They probably have like first option rights sort of thing. But Amazon also has Amazon money, and Amazon might fight them in court and shit, so it is very much like that. It's very much like that though. Anthony here says The Witcher is dead after season 3. I think it is, because there's been rumors that they're going to delay the show, or they're going to break it into 2 halves to milk it out there. The Witcher Blood Origin, I haven't seen, but I've heard nothing good about. I've heard it's okay. Nothing great. The worst I've heard is that it's terrible. But it's a limited series. It's not a full season. It's not like an ongoing show. It's a limited series meant to expand out the lore. I think it's going to tie into season 3 quite a bit. And that's where they're going to want to go with it. I think there's a reference to like the Wild Hunt in the Blood Origin. So there could be something about the Wild Hunt in season 3 of The Witcher. But I think they are going to expand to capitalize on that Henry Cavill love and not have it all come out all at once. And so maybe at this point they should just potentially look into getting rid of that. Mikey Rowe here says Netflix needs to rethink how they do things, or they're going to end up being what Fox used to be or still is. Yeah. It's very true, man. It's very, very, very true. Rational here for $2 asking, will Avatar 2 get a 3D Blu-ray release like Avatar 1? I think so. I think it's going to get, that, right? I think it's going to end up getting a lot. They're not going to want to walk away from that one. Also, H-Bars here for $2 says RJ is Gomez Adams. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Love you, RJ, but you are kind of like that. So Anthony here says also the Assassin's Creed showrunner from Netflix left. That's true. And he was the showrunner for Vikings as well. So that's kind of weird. I think there might just be some stuff going on with that right now. Garrick asking, are 3D TVs still being made? I don't know. I think so. Maybe, probably. It is. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So let's see here. They might treat the series like they treat the episode of Chicago from Stranger Things season 2. Yes. The controversial episode 7. Yes, Blessing. I know the episode well. Definitely it can be crazy. Kunst asking, so if RJ is Gomez, does that mean Saggy is Morticia? I mean, if you get Saggy's OnlyFans, potentially, that she could be. Yeah, even Ryan here says the same thing, a Saggy Morticia. You know what? She would probably own up to that. She'd probably cop up to that, to be fair, but no. So let's talk about here. This is the final story of the night. Avatar 2 hasn't profited despite a $1.4 billion global earnings report, according to the Direct. But the movie is now basically at $1.5 billion. So according to some reports, it is now finally in the profitability range. And we're talking about a movie that came out just a couple weeks ago, and it's at $1.5 billion. And you just have to laugh your ass off at it. Yeah, Ryan, I know we're at the close to the 90-minute mark. Yeah, we're gonna wind it down before 2 hours tonight. So thank you though for letting me know. So this is what they say here over on the Direct. James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water has grossed $1.4 billion at the box office so far, but reportedly still isn't enough to turn a profit. Just over 2 weeks into its theatrical run, Avatar: The Way of Water has already delivered on the legacy of its $2.9 billion grossing predecessor with another box office hit. Following its third weekend, Avatar 2 currently stands with a $440 million domestic run and a $957 million international gross for a $1.4 billion in its total theatrical run. But remember, guys, there's no cultural impact, no cultural significance. Nobody actually cares about Avatar. No one out there gives a shit. They just fucking hate the movie. Jesus, it's so boring. It's just space Smurfs. You know, that's all. It's Fern Gully. It's Dances with Wolves. That's what it is, apparently. All right. So a recent report from Variety noted a prediction from box office analysts who have estimated that Avatar: The Way of Water still needs to gross $1.5 billion to turn a profit after grossing just over $1.4 billion worldwide. The Cameron sequel in just 2 weeks, the Cameron sequel is yet to cross the profitability threshold. I think it's either going to hit. I read a report that it hit 1.5 or it's going to hit 1.5 like tomorrow. So like anything could possibly happen. I know Blessinger says, oh no, how old? Oh wait, what are you talking about? How old? Oh, that girl on the left is hot as the movie. Oh no, how old is she? Her name is like Bailey something or another. She's of age. All right. So don't feel bad. I think she is. Actually, hold on. I want to double check that, right? Avatar 2 cast. Let's take a look here. All right. It is, let me just keep going. What the hell? Michelle Yeoh is in fucking Avatar 2? Vin Diesel is listed as an Avatar 2. That's amazing. Bailey Bass is her name. And she is, I can't see an age. Oh, she was born June 18th, 2003. So she's almost 20. So you're in the clear, Blessing. You're in the clear. All right. you just have to, you're in the clear. All right. You're good. You're good, buddy. There you go. you just kind of love that. Like I thought when I saw this comment first, and he's like, "Oh no, how old is she in the movie?" My first thought was like, "Took," and then I see him say the girl on the left was hot. There you go. But anyway, the movie will definitely turn a profit. All right, I think $2 billion is definitely something that could absolutely happen here. But one of the interesting things is I came across this article yesterday about how Avatar's box office record negatively affected Cameron's sequels. And I started really wondering about that in regards to like imposter syndrome, because when you think about it for a second, like I talked about this in my video where he was the number one movie. It got toppled by Avengers Endgame. And then it ended up, usurping the throne once again due to a Chinese re-release during the pandemic. But like, is there imposter syndrome that happens with, James Cameron? Like, he's like, like you go from Titanic to Avatar. It took 12 years to get from Titanic to Avatar, 13 years to get from Avatar to Avatar 2. So it's just like, like, is that something that's going to impact them on a psychological level? So let's see, what he says here. The reason the comeback wasn't the extraordinary financial success of the first film. In fact, that's almost a disincentive. The incentive to do it is that we had this great team of artists and a great cast of actors, and we trusted, and everybody trusted everybody. And that's kind of the way to look at it too, is like, he wanted to come back to tell a story. It says, during a conversation with The Wrap, Cameron made it clear that's not the case, describing Avatar's record-breaking box office as almost a disincentive to return to the franchise. Long before Avatar was even released, Cameron had said in 2006 that he hoped to create multiple sequels to the film depending on its popularity, officially announcing a plan for 2 sequels a year after Avatar's release in 2010. The delays led to over a decade in between. Though Avatar's extraordinary financial success created the opportunity to create several sequel movies, Cameron says he was motivated to return to the franchise because of the greatest team of artists and cast of characters attached to the franchise, not the possibility of creating another historic hit. And James Cameron is something, like, his ego is something we all really, really, really know about that. All right. Like, we all really know that his ego is there, like 100%. But I think one of the things that, like, we have to, like, acknowledge here is that, like, he didn't have to come back to this. He could have gone and done anything else. He could have made literally anything else. Like, he was instrumental in getting Alita off the ground, and a lot of people want to see Alita 2. A lot of people really want to see Alita 2. I myself want to see Alita 2. There's a lot there that, that he could have done, but he decided to go back to this world because he actually has something to say. I watched a video today from a YouTuber who's an Australian. I forget his name right now, but he's like, look, I enjoyed Avatar, the first one. I didn't like it. He's like, but I kind of loved Avatar: The Way of Water. It's a flawed masterpiece. And he talked about how, like, the first movie wasn't that engaging, but the second one was more engaging because James Cameron actually had something to say behind the spectacle. And I think there was stuff there that he wanted to talk about with environmentalism, with cultural imperialism, with whaling, with all sorts of things like that. There's a lot there that went into Avatar, The Way of Water, that makes it an interesting topic of conversation, and I think that, to me, is something that makes sense, especially when you start talking about, like, how psychologically this might have impacted him, right? Like again, he has an ego. He's known for having an ego, but it's you have to kind of give him that, like, a little bit of that leeway to an extent where you're just like, yeah, man, like, yeah, you got an ego, dude, but man, 100%, like, you've kind of earned it, all things considered, but now because you're the top dog, everyone's gunning for your ass, dude. Everyone's gunning for you. Everyone wants to see you kind of go down, because that's just, unfortunately, where our particular culture stands on this shit. You know what I'm saying? And that is just the absolute truth of that, unfortunately. But that being said, you cannot complain with $1.4 billion in 2 weeks, as well as the ability for all of that to just, kick ass as things keep going. And like I said, when we get to Avatar 3, it's going to be like even nuts, right? Geeks here says, I want Alita 2 and Hellboy 2 2019. All right, dog. Hell yeah. Geeks. You know what? I want more Hellboy as well. I liked David Harbour in the role, man. I thought that the movie wasn't as bad as everyone made it out to be. I had a lot of fun with it. That's very true. Spherical Man here says, Cameron can go F himself and one of his subs in the ocean. That's not very nice. That's not very nice, Spherical Man. I think when you finally get around to watching Avatar, and I think you will, I think you already have, if I'm being honest with you. I think you secretly watch it, you secretly like it, and you just don't want to admit that you're wrong. But I think one day you're gonna come around to realizing that you're wrong, and that's gonna be all right, dog. It's gonna be all right. You're gonna get there, man. Why am I saying dog a lot tonight? What the fuck? Like, I just in some kind of mood tonight. Like, what am I saying? I don't know why I call everyone dog and bro. Like, that's not my vernacular. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on with that, guys. I apologize. But to wind down the evening, this is a sponsored video from Command Unit. It's another 40K video game, Space Hulk Tactics Gene Stealer trailer. And if you guys got any final questions, line them up while we're watching this, and we'll answer them real quick, and then it's going to be it for the show. But let's check it out.
Brother Sergeant, we detect multiple life forms inbound.
Acknowledged. This vile wreck is infested with the Xenos. We will purge it with steel and doom. You hear that?
The Gene Stealers in Space Hulk Tactics are a malicious swarm, every tooth and claw lethal, slavering jaws and powerful arms ready to tear every Terminator they meet in two. They are adept at hiding, crawling through vents, and stalking their foes at all times. Unlike the Terminators, Gene Stealers do not begin with units deployed on the map. Instead, they get a number of blips representing how they appear on the Auspex scanners of the Terminators. Each blip contains between 0 and 3 Gene Stealers. You acquire more blips by converting a card once per turn, and they are placed on various spawn points throughout the map. These blips act like any other unit, except they can be revealed manually to spew the Gene Stealers they contain onto the battlefield. This can also be forced by your opponent if a blip comes into the line of sight of a Terminator. Empty blips can be used to trick opponents into worrying about decoys while the bulk of your force is elsewhere. While Terminators will often have an objective to complete on a map, the Gene Stealers are simply seeking to stop the interlopers by slaughtering them. The aliens' advantages are speed, having more action points than their foes, and reliability. They are killing machines, and they act like it. Gene Stealer cards have unique elements. Some can also be used to change a regular blip into a special Gene Stealer. These include 3 completely new biomorphs: the Reaper-Fex, Miasmic, and Bulwark biomorphs. The Bulwark is the only unit in Space Hulk Tactics that requires 2 shots to take down. Although it is slower than its more agile kin, this makes it exceptionally dangerous. This is also how you deploy the mighty Broodlord, the largest and most powerful of the Gene Stealers, which can cross the map in an instant and spawn new blips around itself. It is not invulnerable, but it has an immeasurable tactical advantage. Playing as the Gene Stealers in Space Hulk Tactics is a completely different experience. Unique cards, their own campaign, and 4 high fleet color schemes to choose from and customize give them equal footing in every aspect. Which side will you choose?
All right, that looked interesting. I mean, yeah, it kind of looked like a little bit like StarCraft, like Zerg versus Terran. A lot of that. But Henry here says, fun fact, StarCraft was supposed to be a Warhammer licensed game, but they didn't get the license, so they changed it to an original IP. Wow. I feel like they've left that to kind of die, to be fair. I think after StarCraft 2, they just kind of went another direction. Even like, Warcraft, I think just gets kind of left behind there. It's unfortunate, I mean, Overwatch is Overwatch, to be honest with you. And then also, as for the Batgirl stuff, I just don't have any of that stuff available right now. I'll do it tomorrow. We'll get to it tomorrow. It's not going anywhere. I don't think it's on a real big time delay. Geeks here asking, do I think X-Men 97 will be successful when it's out Disney Plus this year? I hope so. I want to see a trailer. I want to see what they do with it. I'm a big fan of the X-Men 90 show. That is on Disney Plus. That will start getting a lot of attention from Disney and the lead up to it. So a lot of people start watching it and going back to it. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. There's 4 seasons there to watch or something like that. There's a lot there. A lot of good things to check out about that. All right. So, let's see. Maybe tomorrow we talk about 2023 stuff. Yeah. There's stuff to talk about 2023. There's lots of there. If you guys have your thoughts, we'll probably do something along those lines. You guys can tell me what you're interested in. There's a lot to get through this particular year. So, a lot of good, fun things. I'm actually more excited for something that's going to be like maybe a little bit on the what's the word I want to use here? Something that's going to be more like lower. I mean, I love studio films, but like just some of these smaller movies are actually like just pretty pretty cool. You know, some of these other ones are pretty fun, and you gotta enjoy him on that particular front right there. But all right, guys, I think on that note, we are gonna call it. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in tonight. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great night. Hollywood After Dark 2023, motherfuckers.